Hi, this is Aaron Marshall with Ratio Christi here at UNCW. Ratio Christi is a Christian apologetics club, and in a previous video we talked about what apologetics is. Today I want to talk to you about what apologetics can do and what's the goal of apologetics. First, what's the goal of apologetics? We want people to become fully formed followers of Jesus Christ. The goal of apologetics is not to convert people to theism or just to believe that there's good evidence for Christianity. We want people to become Christians. We want people to give their lives to Jesus. But what we found is that lots of people have intellectual stumbling blocks before they're willing to give their lives to Jesus. So what we want to do is help answer the questions that they have so that we can help spur them on in their journey, with the goal being that they would become fully formed followers of Jesus Christ. So that's the goal of apologetics. But let me ask you, let me tell you three things about what apologetics can do and what apologetics can't do. Apologetics can answer honest intellectual questions about Jesus. Everybody has questions about Christianity, Jesus, the afterlife, spiritual things. In fact, if you don't have questions, that bothers me. That freaks me out. Because I got more questions now than I've ever had. So we can answer honest questions about Christianity. How can there be a good God if there's evil and suffering in the world? What about evolution? Is the Bible reliable? Is there any reason to believe that Jesus rose from the dead? We think we've got good evidence for these things. So we can answer these honest questions. The second thing that apologetics can do is we can expose what we call pseudo-intellectual objections to Christianity. And what I mean by that is some people have these intellectual objections that seem like they're intellectual objections. But the reality is the person is not looking for answers to that question. They're really just using that as a smokescreen to never actually investigate Christianity. And what I mean by that is some people would say, someone that I know very well, I could never believe in Christianity because what about the Australian Aborigine who's never heard of Jesus? You're telling me that if they died, never having heard of Jesus, they would go to hell, but Hitler on his deathbed, if he converted to Christianity, he would get a free pass and he'd go to heaven. And they think they say that that's evil. The problem is, we've talked about this 100 times, and I would contend they're not interested in the answer to that question because I think we've got a good answer to it. They're just using it as a smokescreen to never actually investigate the claims of Christianity. So we can answer your honest questions. We can also expose what we call pseudo-intellectual objections and show what they really are. Those are spiritual things. That person doesn't want Christianity to be true. And Frank Turek has a great question that he always asks people when he's having these discussions. He says, look, if I could answer all of your questions about Christianity, would you become a Christian? And some people tell me no, which tells me that they're not really intellectual objections, they're spiritual issues. And finally, we can build up the faith of the believer. We've seen this time and time again for Christian kids who have had their faith challenged. We've given them good reasons to believe why they believe. We've shown them the truth claims of Christianity, and now they are excelling in their faith, and they're really honoring the Lord, and they're doing it because they've got good answers to their honest questions that they had. So we can build up the faith of the believer, we can answer your honest questions, and we can expose pseudo-intellectual objections. What can't apologetics do? I cannot force somebody to believe. I can't change your heart, right? I can give you answers, I can try to answer as many questions as I can, but I cannot force you to believe. I can't change somebody's heart. That's between you and God. You're going to have to, I can answer all your questions, I can do what I can do, but that's between, where you fall on this is ultimately between you and God. In fact, what we like to say is, if I'm driving somebody, if I want to get somebody to the beach, I can get them in the car, I can get them headed in the right direction. In fact, I can drive them all the way down to the beach. But if they want to get in the ocean, they're going to have to get out themselves and get in the water. And so we think apologetics can be that car, that vehicle to help you get closer to God, but ultimately it's between you and God as to what happens with your salvation. We like to say, Greg Kokel uses the term, put a rock in somebody's shoe. Just get them thinking about these things, maybe for the first time. And the other thing that apologetics can't do is it can't give us someone 100% certainty. I'm not saying I can answer all of your objections about Christianity with certainty. I can give you good reasons to believe it, but ultimately you're going to have to decide what you do with this evidence. So that's a few things about what apologetics can do and what apologetics can't do. But remember, at Ratio Christi here at UNCW, we always want to ask good questions and seek good answers. This is Aaron Marshall with Ratio Christi here at UNCW.